Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I thought it was on.
It is.
It's on. Good. Not even here. It's sure good to be able to have Marcia Slater and her sister, what's her name?
Oh, what's her name?
Judy Smith. I had to do that. I just had to do it.
Hospital didn't help you, did it?
Hmm?
Hospital didn't help you in that way.
No, and as Mike said, my funny jokes, I'm glad they hear that they're funny. Though I didn't stop telling funny jokes. While I was there, I made up several cracks that I told quite often. Sometimes Steve says too often. But Judy was good to hear you play the piano again. Very, very good. I appreciate it very, very much. When I saw Marcia with her, I got excited because I thought we were going to have an organ piano duet. They couldn't get the organ to work right. So we'll just have to see what we can do about that. I do want to emphasize the idea of this inspiration we're having on the 29th. This is in cooperation where two churches are getting together. The Gateway Church of Christ in St. Albans and also the Highland Church are going to host it. Gateway is going to support it. They're coming down to be with us that night. And the whole idea of this is to be able to help bring the churches together in the unity that we need. Rather than being in opposition with each other, we need to be supporting each other and helping each other with what they are doing and keeping them in prayers and so forth. And this came about as a result of my being in the hospital. And I'm going to make a comment that if it is successful, then it was well worth the time that I spent in the hospital. That's exactly how I feel. So I'm looking forward. I understand that Beverly Hills is getting involved behind it. There's other churches in the area, and we need to really, really support. I'm looking forward to maybe doing several hundred here. And it'll be unusual. So if you remember the 29th, ice cream social following. And I haven't even been asked to fix my famous hot dog. I mean, my chocolate sauce to go over to hot fudge sauce to go over coffee ice cream. And I'm not going to do it. Again, I want to make a comment concerning the missionary offering last week. I believe that last Sunday morning was the first time since I've been here. Now, Mike might correct me on this, that we met our goal and went over our goal. The goal was $100 each month. And last Sunday morning we had $118. And I appreciate that, and I want to encourage people to continue with the idea of missions. My thinking this past week has been centered around the idea of 9/11. Listened to it on television the other day. And thinking about what we as Christians are involved with 9/11. I would like for you to really think back to that particular time. I remember 9/11, but I cannot remember the year in which it happened. Anybody want to help me out with that? What year? You're in the same boat that I am in. You can remember 9/11, but not the year. I do know it had to be before 2010 because my wife was still alive and she was in the hospital for almost 31 days at the time. And I want you to think just for a moment of the attitude of our nation, the atmosphere, the general feeling of the unity that existed at that time. Chesapeake, Ohio. I was preaching at the Chesapeake Church at the time. In Chesapeake, Ohio, you couldn't drive past it, but Chesapeake, Ohio purchased, I don't know how many flags, And Jimmy Justice, who happened to be the mayor of Chesapeake, and also his wife would come to our church, a very beautiful young lady. And we were very much involved with the idea of what he was doing. But Chesapeake bought flags almost in every flag pole in Chesapeake. Every telephone pole in Chesapeake that they had in Chesapeake had a flag on it. And it was to the idea called for the unity, the patriotism. And the only question I can ask when I look at our nation today is, what happened to it? What happened to it? If you want a good discussion, if you want a good discussion, all you need to do is to walk into a group and bring up either politics or religion, and you're going to have a good discussion. I love Alice out there when she gets talking about the Democrats. She tells that one of her problems is the fact that she has one leg that's a Democrat, the other leg's a Republican, they don't cooperate. Trouble is that she has the right leg being the Democrat and the left leg being the Republicans, and that should be the other way around. But the whole idea is we're living in a divided world today. People are asking the right question, but they're getting the wrong answers. There's a television advertisement that comes on that talks about the strength of the American people, and our nation rose to greatness because of the labor force. I don't agree with that. We rose to what we are today because we were established upon biblical principles and Christian principles. And Christianity is so much involved with our heritage that we cannot shake it. And I think the problems we're having today is because we have gotten away from it. We have gotten away from it. And excuse me for spouting off a little bit, but I believe without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, if we can get some of the false teaching out of our colleges, where they're saying that all the founders of our nation were deists, that's entirely wrong. It's not true. That we need to start teaching what the Bible has to say and what our heritage has to say. But you ask a question, you walk in a group of people and you ask a question concerning religion. I found this out when I was in the hospital, especially the skilled nursing part of it. When I was going through physical therapy, we would get a religious discussion while they were putting me through the paces. And my therapist, a young lady by the name of, what was her name? I can't remember. And she was a young lady that had really not got involved with church. And she says she loves to be able to work with me as my therapist because of the fact that she get me started talking about religion, and I wouldn't even pay attention to what she was doing. She making me do anything she wanted me to do. But we had a good time. It was my therapist that asked me when we were getting out, after I was told I would go home. She asked me the question, are you going to be preaching this Sunday? And I told her, no. I said, I've been too long without communion. I'm going to have communion to build my spiritual strength to preach again. You talk about a discussion that started after that. I think I had an hour and a half session where I was only supposed to have 45 minutes. And everybody began to express their own idea about communion. And when I heard about 9/11 this past week, I thought about this discussion. Communion happens to be one of the ideas, the Lord's Supper happens to be one of the problems that we have in the world, that everybody has their own idea, everybody has their own thing, and even within the Church of Christ and Christian churches, you have different thoughts. Several years ago, I interviewed by telephone with a church out in Ohio on Route 40 towards the borderline of Indiana. They were very excited about talking to me, and they had said, now we have 3 problems that most Church of Christ preachers don't like. And I said, what are they? And they said, well, we have women deacons. Now, you might disagree with me, but my response was, whether they do the work or have a title, what difference does it make? I said, a woman deacon is somebody that serves. And I said, I think by the fact that the deacon was to go in and take care of the widows, that the wife of the deacon ought to be considered a deaconess. So we was no problem there. The second idea that they came across told me that they feel that the Lord's Supper is more of a family-oriented time within the church service. And if a husband and wife always serve at the Lord's table and serve communion. And listen to that, I really have no problems with husband and wife serving at the Lord's table together. I got thinking about my wife, Vera. And many times when I preached in one of the nursing homes down in Corbin, Kentucky, she helped me serve communion. Simply because I had no man to do it. And how she said many times that it was a great spiritual blessing to her. So why not? Why not? The third thing they brought up was the idea that in their charter we had to accept all 3 modes of baptism. Sprinkling, pouring, and immersion. And my response was very quickly to them, that's where I draw the line. I said, I cannot accept the idea of sprinkling or pouring as being part of baptism. And now let's take us right back to the article you gave me not too long ago, written by Dave Payton of our illustrious Herald Dispatch. But think of the Lord's Supper. I have served church as a church in Michigan, in which the church made this as a practice. They took the leftover bread. From every time that the communion was served, took it out back and they burned the bread. They took the leftover juice that was used, and they took it out back, and right beside the bread that they had a little dish that they poured the juice in the dish. Former minister insisted upon that when I asked him what I said, oh, that's Bible. You got to read your Bible. It goes back to the Old Testament. It has nothing to do with the Lord's Supper. And I think that they were wrong in making that a practice. I have served churches in which I had a woman who caused a lot of problems because she said, I will not take communion whenever so-and-so served. And I asked her why. She says, well, his hands are so full of nicotine that the sin of smoking is so prevalent, I cannot help getting that thought out of my mind. The truth of the matter, he was a contractor. And the stains on his hands were varnish rather than nicotine, for he never did smoke in his life. So I took him with me into the home, and he explained to her what it was all about, and resolved the situation that we had in that particular congregation. I can think of churches that use 1 cup and 1 loaf of bread. And I can think of a time that, through my ministry here at the Holland Church, we were talking to an organization that wanted to work with us and to join forces together to be able to work different churches together. And we even went together to have joint services. But I stopped the discussion on my own for the simple fact they used leaven bread for the Lord's Supper. I felt that they disgraced the Lord's Supper by some of the things they did. And I felt it took away from it. I'm sure that as I talk here, you're probably going to think of a lot more involved. But I think there are certain things that we need to do. That's not my purpose here this morning. To be able to answer all the questions that come up about the Lord's Supper. My purpose is to approach 4 different things that I think are important when we talk about the Lord's Supper. Number 1, what about the substance? Do we use wine, fermented wine in the cup, or fresh grapes? I think that's a question that is a legitimate question. Some of our non-Israel churches insist on using wine, fermented wine. I think that's the only time I've ever drunk it other than cough medicine. But if you recall, in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, Paul refers to the cup as being the cup of blessing, which we bless in respect to the Lord's Supper. The Lord's Supper came out of the Passover feast. The Passover feast had 4 different segments in it. They had each time a different kind of wine. The cup of blessing that is used by Paul in 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, dealt with the 3rd stage of the Passover feast. And according to my research and things that I have read, the cup of blessing was always fresh grape juice. It was never fermented. In my opinion, the cup of blessing demands that we use fresh grape juice. The question is, what about the loaf? What about the leaven in loaf? When I preached in Titusville, Pennsylvania, the baker happened to be, the town baker happened to be a member of the Methodist Church, a very good Christian. And he would take the leftover bread that he had, dough that he had when he mixed the bread, and pop it in the oven and just fix it around a little loaf, and would give it to the churches for their communion service. He offered it to us, but because it had leaven in, I refused. If you recall Passover feast, the very first thing they did during the Passover, they took all the leaven out of the house. So the bread that was used at the Passover feast had to be unleavened bread. And Jesus himself said, beware of the leaven of the scribes and the Pharisees. I firmly believe that we need to realize that we need to stay as close to the Scriptures as we can. There is not one thought in the Bible concerning the idea that the bread and the wine become the host of the body and the blood of Christ. This all stems from the fact that Jesus said, this is my body and this is my blood. He was speaking metaphorically and not literally. And it all depends whether you're going to the Roman Catholic Church or some of the more modern churches which relate to the Roman Catholic Church. Whether the loaf becomes the blood of Christ or the host of the blood of Christ or the host of the body of Christ. It all depends at that particular time whether it's at the time of the prayer, the minister, or the time that you put it in your mouth. And there's a big debate about that. So we need to be careful with what we use as far as the grape juice is concerned, as far as the leavened bread is concerned. And the next question that comes to my mind, who can partake of the Lord's Supper? Well, I've had debates on this down through the years, and I've had people argue with me time and time again. You have churches that practice what they call closed communion. If you're not a member of that particular congregation, you cannot take communion on that particular Sunday. When I was preaching in Corbin, we mentioned that before, I made a friend of the minister of the chaplain of the hospital. His home happened to be in a town, Paducah, Kentucky. Corbin was several hundred miles away. And when we got talking one time about the Lord's Supper, he wanted to know how we practice this, so I told him. And when he would go home to visit his family, he was still in school, studying for the ministry. But when he go home on Communion Sunday, they would not serve him because he had placed his membership in a Baptist church. Even though they were giving him several $100s a month in order to be able to finish his education. Now, what a contradiction. What a contradiction. I don't believe in closed communion. I think it's open. And I like what we have in our bulletins between you and Jesus. It's between you and Jesus. I've had people come to me who are not Christians, so well, can I partake? And my thinking is very simple. If they take, what difference is it going to make? And I would tell them they will take and remember what Christ did for them on Calvary, then I have no problems with it. I remember when I was preaching in Raceland, Kentucky. I had this man come to church. He was a mailman. M-A-I-L. And he wanted to take communion, even though he was not a Christian. I had a long talk with him about the meaning of communion. I said, no, if you want to take it, I want to let it up to you. So that Sunday morning, I kind of peeked. Forgive me, Lord. And watched as the communion was being passed to him. He took it. That Sunday afternoon, he called me and said, Phil, he says, I took communion this morning. I said, no, you didn't. He said, it's really bothered me. I want to be baptized. That was a step to his conversion of accepting Christ as Savior. That has happened to me several times during my 67 years of ministry. I think the idea is the fact that it is the attitude of the person partaking, not the spiritual condition. I had a young man in Titusville. His dad was an alcoholic. Weekends were reserved for his drinking. And Don would come to church Sunday morning. He was in high school at the time. He would take communion. And that Sunday night, he would take communion again. He told me, he said, Phil, you might think it's strange. He said, but Dad gets so drunk on Sunday afternoon that he fights with the family. And I do things that I think I need to ask God for forgiveness, so I do it during communion service. I find nothing wrong with that. Not a thing. How often? Big question. By the way, I'm going to have to end this. Let's stay in the week, Acts 27. But the important thing is that we partake in remembrance of Jesus Christ. Not if we don't deserve or understand the Lord's body and the purpose of communion. We need to do so. Let me conclude, I think, with this thought. Communion, identified in the 10th chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians. A name given to the Lord's Supper. Communion. That is exactly the same word that is used in Acts 2:42 for fellowship. The word means more than just an association. It means a sharing into. We share together. When we come together as Christians, we come together that we might share together. If you have problems, they are our problems. If you have rejoicing, it's our rejoicing. When it's used in respect to communion, we share in the death and the burial of Jesus Christ. It's a time where we experience a renewal as a result of our sharing with Christ. With that, we're going to be singing our invitation. Just as I am, one verse only, and I apologize for the time. One verse only. And we invite anybody that needs to make a decision for Christ to do so. You place your membership, you become a part of God's kingdom to serve Him. Shall we stand?